Hello and welcome to 90 Minutes. It's fantastic to be back. It's Monday the 24th of August. I'm Symon Allemandy, and as always I'm joined by Pete Hill, not sat next to each other in the studio, but we've gone technical and doing this via Zoom. Pete, it's been a while, mate. How you doing?
It's been a while. How are you doing? I tell you, it's been 169 days. Not that I've been counting. And also doing this Zoom stuff really perfectly illustrates the fact that I've got the perfect face for radio. So I'm glad that none of these pictures are going out.
I can see you, though. I can see you loud and clear. And also, we are joined at half-time by Paul Halsey. So looking forward to a chat with him.
Yeah, Paul and Mrs. Mourinho, actually. We saw Mrs. Mourinho on the screen, didn't we? And she was technical advisor, I think, to our chat with Paul.
I think she was, yeah, definitely. But like I said, it's been a long time. Thank you, everyone for joining us. We've really missed you. We've missed seeing everyone at our clubs. But I think it's about time we cracked on and let people know what's been going on, Pete.
Wow, yeah, 169 days worth then. But let's only go back to Tuesday, the 18th of August, shall we? And some of the friendlies that have been taking part. Finished Oxy Jets 0, Welwyn Garden City 4. Nicky Ironton continuing to experiment with his squad, including former wicketkeeper Charlie Crowley, Rob Banks, and reserve team strikers Raquan Joseph and Raquan Khan, who'd scored 5 between them in the reserves' recent victory over Walthamstow under 23s. It was Khan who opened the scoring, crashing home a shot after a good build-up play by Lee Close and Dave Keenley's side. 2-0, 4 minutes from the break. Elliot Bailey making the most of a goalkeeping error for an easy finish. Half-time, 5 substitutions, I guess, as you'd expect, including the Basie Patrick to Shilada, who set up number 3. Thomas Apuku, whose low shot from the edge of the area kept another impressive display by the former St Margaret's man. Tushilda was also involved in number 4, his cross being converted by KK Steele. So a good run out for the Citizens against South Midlands League rivals. And, good news, Nicky's got most of the squad back from last season that did so well, but made some interesting additions as well. And I think Charlie Crowley is an absolutely top signing.
That's it. I mean, I think we said, early in last season, it was him and Callum Kitchker. Obviously, we know Charlie was at Ware last season. He went over to Waltham Abbey. And it really was him and Callum vying for that number 1 shirt. So I think that's going to be a fantastic addition to the Welwyn squad.
And I tell you, I watched them the Saturday before when they lost 4-1 against Royston, and can't help be impressed by Thomas Apuku, who's made a super start to pre-season. And, he's made the jump up from the Essex Senior League with St Margaret's-Bury, and he really is looking the bar in that central midfield.
That's it. I mean, Nicky's obviously spotted him, given him a chance, brought him in, and that's all you ask someone to do, someone to come in. And if they're impressing you, then that gives them that chance to put themselves in the name of the squad. And that's what's happened. Nicky's taken him on. Excellent. Look forward to seeing him this season.
On the same night, Welwyn Garden City reserves were in action. Another impressive win for them. They've had plenty of football as well. We'll find out a little bit later. But goals from Adam Perry and Lewis Elliott giving them a 2-0 win at Evergreen. On the same evening, on Tuesday, we were at Wadsham Park for the first time this season to watch Ware against Grays. Finished Ware 1, Grays Athletic 2. And before this one, Ware hadn't beaten their opponents in a competitive match for a decade. And that run seemed unlikely to end when Paul Wolsey's side found themselves 2-0 down after only 31 minutes. Both goals came from Mitch Hahn corners, the first driven home by Tony Stokes, the second headed home by Darrell Russell. Callum Ketchler was a busier of the two keepers in half, which saw Ware have an equal share of possession, but Liam Hope's goal-bound shot, which bounced off Lewis Clark's arm, although the referee wasn't interested, was the only time the home side looked like scoring. Starting 11 included returning Ware players George Casey and Marcus Milner, former Cheshunt midfielder Jordan Westcott and Chris Archer, along with a selection of last season's table-topping squad. There were wholesale changes at half-time, with only Dan Rumans and keeper Callum Kitchker remaining on the field, while trialist Finlay Titchmarsh, former Barnet youth defender, and former Chalfont midfielder Danny Wickenden both showed flashes of promise. Titchmarsh, particularly with his accurate distribution, and Wickenden with his quick feet. The home side halved the deficit just after the hour mark. Grays failing to clear a corner, allowing Dan Rumans to rifle in his first goal into the top left-hand corner from 25 yards out, where could have grabbed the draw, but another inventive corner ended in Gareth Madden's powerful header being pushed over the crossbar. In the end, another run out for the majority of the squad and a chance for Paul to get a closer look at his try list, with Milner in the first half and Titchmarsh in the second, seeming to fit the bill. And talking of Dan Rumans' goal, if you're going to score your first for a club, then probably it's going to be the best one you're ever going to score, because he's going to have to go some at top that one. Oh, we seem to have lost Symon for a second, but hopefully it'll unmute. There we go. I was saying the Dan Rumans goal. I mean, what a cracker!
Yeah, he's come to the edge of the box, taken it on his left foot, absolutely rifled it in underside of the crossbar, and it was great, and managed to get that on video as well. That went up on our 90 minutes Twitter feed, and like you say, if you're going to get your first goal, you want it to be something like that, don't you?
Yeah, definitely want it to be something special. I mean, Dan's going to remember that one for a long time. I mean, we'll talk about where in a minute, because we're going to talk about the 3-team tournament. So I guess we'll save our chat about new players and what we thought until then, which brings us on to Friday, when you made the trip down to Donkey Lane to watch Hertford against Enfield Town.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I'd spoken to Ben, had a chat with him the week before, which, that went up on our website, and he told me about this game. Originally, it was supposed to be at home at Hertfordbury Park, but because they want to preserve the pitch, it's looking really good with all that hot weather. It didn't quite help, but obviously we had all that rain, and that's really helped the pitch grow. They just wanted to preserve that a little bit, so they spoke to Enfield. They couldn't have it on their actual pitch, but there's a 3G pitch next to it, so they played it there. And it was a really young Enfield side that that took on Hertford. Obviously, we know Hertford, they're a young side anyway. But the game, it started off, and it was a really quick side. It was a really quick start from both sides. Enfield pressed straight away. They could have taken the lead in the opening 60 seconds. But, Hertford gathered themselves, broke away, with great ball over from the right-hand side of the box from Ben Hurd. Charlie Daniels was in the middle. The ball found its way to Ben Wayman on the left via Luke Geimer, and he gave the Hertford the lead after just 2 minutes. And the wind was really blowing around, Pete, and it didn't make things easy for either side at all. Hertford, they were looking a little bit sloppy in defence. Enfield were taking advantage of that. And, it was a defensive mistake that led to the Enfield equaliser after 12 minutes. They could have gained the lead again after 20 minutes. Arthur LeBlond, who was the young lad who was trialling out in goal, apparently he's a young French lad. And Ben was telling me that he was at Racing Lens last year. He was forced to tip that over the bar. Rest of the first half, they didn't really create too many chances. Ben Wayman probably had the best chance from a Ben Hurd free kick after about 30 minutes. And then in the 38th minute, Hertford did get a penalty. But Chris Goslin, he stepped up. He couldn't convert it, and it was 1-0 at half-time. Wind was behind Hertford in the second half, and they were starting to press really hard. It took 4 minutes for them to retake the lead. Crossed to the far post found Luke Geimer, and he climbed highest to nod the ball home. Hertford made 4 changes after the hour mark, continued to put pressure on Enfield Town, and this paid off when young left-back Josh Bryant was found on the edge of the 6-yard box, and he calmly slotted the ball past the Enfield keeper. More changes came soon after, and then a great free kick after 80 minutes saw Ben Hurd rattle the crossbar. All in all, Pete, it was a great run out for the boys. Some of them new faces, mostly from Ben's academy. They looked really promising. And Ben seemed fairly pleased with the performance afterwards. And seeing as it was on a 3G, in a cage, as you was last week with that game for Welwyn Garden City against Royston, although I was inside it, Pete, it's such a different viewpoint and you can certainly hear more of what's being said on the pitch and from the bench, can't you?
Yeah, I think it's also a flat viewpoint, isn't it? Because, commentating on games or whatever, you're always used to watching it from a height. So it really is a difficult one when you're looking through the sea of bodies. It often makes me wonder, and maybe you should ask Paul or Ben or Nicky about this, is that, you see a lot of managers, don't they? They go up to the stand sometimes to watch. And the perspective on a game that you get watching it from the stand compared to what you do when you look into a sea of legs is quite amazing. So it does make me wonder why more managers actually don't watch things from the stand when you look at the kind of viewpoint that we've had in those couple of games.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, for me, obviously I'm not used to standing on the sidelines and watching it from that perspective. Like you say, normally we're sitting up in the stands, and I'll be honest, I didn't like it. You can't see what's going on so much. And I think, Paul's said to us before, he does like sitting in the stand from now, from time to time. And yeah, it's a much better viewpoint, sitting in the stands rather than being on the side of the pitch, in my point of view.
So, as far as Hartford, you've got a young French lad in there, the needy goalkeeper, Nick Hayes, is now at Salford City. So good luck to him because, he's risen quite meteorically from all the way from Hartford's level up to playing for Salford City in the EFL. So obviously, Ben's in need of a goalkeeper. I guess the thing is with the young players as well, isn't it? We saw them develop, didn't they? They really developed through last season. Found it hard going at the beginning, but by the end, players like Luke Geimer and Ben Wyman and Kit Brown, etc., were actually looking the part and really were facing up to the physical challenge. And I guess Ben knows, and he's learned from last season, that the one thing that, players may look bright in friendlies, etc., but it's that physical challenge, and whether they can face up to that physical challenge will be whether they will continue and play Isthmian League football.
Yeah, that's it. Ben and Luke, they looked really sharp on Friday. They looked great. Kit wasn't playing. He's got a slight tightness. He was there, as was Harvey Gardner as well. He was there on the sidelines helping out. Some of them young players. I think Josh Bryant, who was playing left back, he had a really fantastic game. He topped it off with a goal, and then there was a couple of trialists that came on in the second half. There's one young lad who was playing central defence, and for some of them really, really impressed me. So I think it's looking good for them. We've mentioned before, how young the squad is. We know they've got Ben. With the experience. They've got James Dewars, they've got Isaac that's got that experience. But it's just about blending them together, as we've said before.
Yeah, absolutely. No Alfie Q. He scored on Saturday. He scored a penalty for his new club, so he's gone. He's going to be a miss. But yeah, I think from the team that had that horrible afternoon against Westfield last season, didn't they? I think they did tremendously well to get to where they did get to by the end of the season, and I think hopefully this season will go without a hitch, and I can look them fairly safe mid-table finish is what I'm looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just a case. I think the one thing they are going to miss, obviously they're going to miss Alfie, but it's a case of getting a keeper in. I think, and both the keepers that they played on Friday that I saw, neither of them were really tested. So I'm sure Ben wants to get someone in to and get a game in that he can see where they get a test and see how they handle things.
Yeah, I guess that's always difficult, isn't it? To you want in a certain respect, you want your defence to keep the opposition out, but also you want to give them enough chance to test the person you got between the sticks, don't you? Otherwise, as you say, you don't get really chance to judge ability.
That's it, and of course, if this lad that's come in, he's a French lad as well. You want to see how he copes with the language as well, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's a kind of prominent issue, isn't it? Particularly in non-league football, of course, as well. But so That was Hartford on the same day, probably one of the matches of the season so far involving Welwyn Garden City reserves, which ended Crawley Green 8, Welwyn Garden City reserves 4. And I will say it was probably one of the matches, it was probably one of the halves of the season, because would you believe Crawley Green was 7-3 up at half-time. And poor Tishu Hussain for Welwyn Garden City scored all his team's goals. So he scored a hat-trick in the first half and found his side 7-3 down at half-time. Adam Perry scored Welwyn's other goal in a much more even second half in a game that ended 8-4. But you got to be a bit unlucky, haven't you? Scoring a hat-trick in the opening 45 minutes, but conceding 7 at the other end.
That's it. But I mean, obviously, like you said, they had a game before that. A little bit later, you'll be mentioning that they've had another game as well. So they've had a quick run of games as well, though, haven't they? So how much has that taken out of them?
Yeah, four games in 7 days, because we'll move on to Saturday when it finished Buntingford Town 3, Welwyn Garden City Under-23 3. So those 4 matches in 7 days obviously taking a little bit of their toll, and not surprising, they looked a bit tired towards the end. Brodie Garrington's back after that ankle injury, and he gave the Citizens the lead, sliding the ball home after Tushu Hussain again had provided the assist. Lewis Ellis added a second from inside the area early in the second half. Buntingford got back into things when Welwyn Garden City keeper Rory Golden picked up a back pass inadvertently, and Chaz Bailey scored from the resultant free kick. Harrison Cage swiftly restored the visitors' 2-goal advantage, curling a 25-yard free kick into the top corner. Will Oram struck back for Buntingford, for the Citizens conceded a penalty and had a player sinned bin. The home side converting the spot kick to make it 3-3, but the visitors should have gone back in front, but town keeper Andrew Palfreyman saved Harrison Cage's late penalty. So it finished 3-3, and Welwyn Garden City's under-23s are going to be in the Hearts Senior County League this season for first season. So it's going to be an interesting run out for them, and, interesting stuff. Obviously, from first team perspective, there's some useful players there, but big to see Brodie Garrington back after the ankle injury and getting on the score sheet.
Yeah, it's great to see him back. I mean, we spoke to Nicky before, and Brodie is more than likely to be more involved in the first team, but it's great to see him, like you say, back from his ankle injury and back on the score sheet.
So also on Saturday, some other action. Finished Push Hill Rangers 0, Sawbridgeworth Town 4. Sam Bashu got a double for Sawbridgeworth. Connor Clark amongst the goals there as well. Also finished London Tigers 1, Hoddesdon Town 1. Lily Whites had 2 penalties saved, and had to rely on a late equaliser from Ryan Stevenson to get themselves out of trouble. A couple of interesting inclusions in the Hoddesdon squad this season. Harrison Rookard and Cardan Campbell both included, who've come from Ware. So a couple of interesting players to pick up there.
Well, that could be promising for them then. I've not seen that, but promising additions to the squad for Symon Middle there.
Yeah, I think that Ethan, Harrison's brother, is there as well. He wasn't involved on Saturday, but he has played in one of the prior pre-season friendlies. So, you want players to score goals, then certainly Harrison Rookard banged them in for Ware's under-23 side. So it'll be interesting to see how he does in the Essex Senior League. Yeah, absolutely. I look forward to seeing how he gets on, definitely. Talking of the Essex Senior League, that was a test for Welwyn Garden City, the latest one. Tough workout for Nicky Ironton's team against Walthamstow, title hopefuls in the ESL, who've recruited pretty well over the summer as well. They've got some experienced players in there at Walthamstow. They looked good last season. They were my pick for the championship anyway. They've strengthened the squad even further. So I think they'll be a force to be reckoned with in the Essex Senior League. But in the end, good win for Welwyn Garden City. City. Finished Walthamstow 1, Welwyn Garden City 4. Charlie Crowley made his second appearance in goal and pulled a couple of fine first half saved off as well. Citizens went in front. Dave Keenley's side following home from George Ironton's corner. Keenley's side, though, quickly turned from hero to villain, conceding a penalty at the other end, which former Welwyn Garden City striker John Clement converted. Welwyn Garden City introduced Jordan Ginoshi, John Sexton and Caleb KK Steele at the interval, and with 3 minutes of the restart, they were back in front. Jack Vasey heading home George Ironton's pinpoint cross. 4 minutes later, it was 3-1. Dave Keenley's side converting from the spot after a referee had spotted a handball in the home box. Charlie Crowley preserved the 2-goal cushion with a super save from John Clement before substitute Juno Akintundi rolled in number 4 from Dave Keenley's side's pass. So all going very nicely for the Citizens there. I mean, Walthamstow team to be reckoned with, a team who would be hoping to get up to level 4. And so that's a decent win there, 4-1.
Yeah, I think it is. It's great. I mean, Dave Keenley's side, he's got a couple of goals. Jack Vasey scoring again. It's working well. And I think that, like you say, Walthamstow, they recruited well. They were going really well last season. And a good run out for Nicky's side.
Certainly. We know Nicky likes a striker. So, we got Jack Vasey, Eusebio da Silva, who didn't play. We've mentioned Brodie Garrington, Elliot Bailey. So, he's got a nice little quartet of strikers he can choose from there.
That's it. But, we know how much Nicky said last year about the chances that they created and the amount of times they converted to them. So it's just a case of making sure that they convert those chances that they create.
Yeah, it certainly is going to be a tough division again this season, with the big teams up there. Welwyn Garden City were a little bit punching beyond their weight. And I suppose the only thing you can say about it is they might have caught a few teams by surprise last season, perhaps didn't realise how strong Citizens were. Not going to be the case this season because teams are really going to take them seriously.
That's it. I mean, they've drawn that attention to themselves now, haven't they? So maybe open a few people's eyes up to them and, they'll be more aware of what they can do and the danger that they can be.
We were at Watson Park on Saturday for the 3-team tournament involving Royston Town, Chesham United and Ware. 2 teams, of course, in Royston and Chesham United, who could conceivably be playing this season at level 2, had last season not come to a premature close. Both of them were doing well in respective Southern League Premier Division, so it was a tough assignment for Paul Hall's team. No Callum Kitchker in goal, so Ethan Gannon played both games, and it was really his mistake after 10 minutes of the match against Royston, which cost the first goal, which Scott Bridges rolled in. Brandon Adams, the former Ware striker, who scored 23 goals in 25 games in Ware colours, scored the second after another defensive lapse. Different team took the field in the second game against Chesham. Chesham won that by 3-0. Goals from Dave Pearce, Carl Oliaidi and Dernell Winter. Andre McCollin's header pushed over the top of the crossbar. Super save this from Chesham's trialist goalkeeper. Really the best chance that the home team had. In the intervening game in the middle, Chesham won 1-0 against Royston Town. But it was always going to be a tough afternoon against 2 teams who, really are level 3 teams. But as I was saying, they had the look of level 2 teams about them both, didn't they?
They did, yeah. I mean, you say they're level 3 teams and they're really strong level 3 teams as well. And it was a really good test for the Ware boys. But you got to think, obviously, it wasn't either 45-minute game. They weren't full strength teams for Ware, as I'm sure they weren't for Royston and Chesham as well. But young Ethan in goal. Yeah, that first goal against Royston, unfortunately, it was his error, that caused that goal. But the other, goals that he conceded, he didn't have a chance really, did he, with them? And throughout the 2 games, he pulled off some great saves as well, didn't he?
Yeah, so particularly in the Chesham game, a couple of real crackers. So, he's young goalkeeper. You're going to expect that. He's going to make mistakes, but we know he's a big talent. And I know, we know he will learn from those mistakes and just get better and better. I mean, as far as we're concerned, I mean, new faces there, a number: George Casey, Marcus Milner, Finlay Titchmarsh, Danny Wickenden, Jordan Westcott, Ben Hart, former player returning, and also a run out for Reece Croucher. I've got to say, impressed, playing wide on the left-hand side.
I think Reece was absolutely fantastic. He really did impress me. He looked confident. He didn't seem fazed by the attention that he was getting, and Marcus Milner as well. I think he played absolutely fantastic. So, some of the other players, they impressed in spells, but those two in particular, I thought really impressed us.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, the majority of last season's squad are back. I mean, we know Paul's looking for a right back. No Matt Sam Fraser. He moved on and he's now at Braintree. And he's looking for a little bit of pace and a little bit of trickery up front. Josh Williams now at Royston. So, he's got those two real key parts of his squad to fix, hasn't he? And, I think, looking at the players that they had run out, I suppose it's difficult as well, isn't it? When you just got 45-minute games as well, because it's a whole different mindset, I guess, just coming out there for 45 minutes.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I don't know as a coach's aspect, what way would you go about it? Do you try and attack from the off? Are you trying to sort of preserve things more at the back? But I mean, we know, it's all pre-season. It's all about, getting minutes under your belt and looking at certain players, though, isn't it? That's the main objective of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you got the likes of Andre McCollin, Albert Adu and Liam Hope as a prospective front line, then, there's going to be goals there, aren't there, amongst those three, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's exactly what we were saying on Saturday, when we was there. You said to me about that Harlow game. That's the three you want up front, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, on that night at Harlow, I mean, Ware fans will remember that well, because they absolutely ripped Harlow to threads. The three of them were absolutely superb. Well, Paul Wolsey is our guest a little bit later on in the show, so we'll be finding out what he thinks and finding out a little bit of information. I mean, all those new faces, we'll find out which ones have signed, which ones he's talking to, and I know he's looking at his squad, wants to bring players in. So it's always nice. It's a nice bit of pre-season, isn't it? You see players out. And I guess the good thing about us with a lot of our local clubs as well is we actually don't get many A-trialists, because we actually know who these players are. Whereas when the opposition come down, as Chesham did on Saturday, I mean, we had quite a few A-trialists playing.
That's it. And it doesn't always make it easy. Like you was doing the commentary, Pete. Doesn't always make it easy when they haven't got numbers on the back of their shirts either, does it?
No, that's a bit of a prerequisite, really, isn't it? But actually, we've got the donut coming up a little bit later, and numbers on the backs might mean something, I tell you, with the one that I've got lined up. But it takes me back a few years, actually, back in the 90s when I was covering games for Barnet, and Lincoln City, for some strange reason, people might remember, went through an entire season by only putting their numbers on their shorts. They decided that they didn't want to put numbers on the back of their red and white striped shirts. So the only numbers were on their shorts, and that was a total nightmare.
Yeah, because obviously if their numbers are on the shorts, they're only going to be on one side, aren't they? So you can't see the numbers from whatever angle you're at.
Yeah, that was one of my nightmare games at Sinsel Bank, I think, was covering that. But anyway, so that's the action that's been. I'll tell you, there's been the FA Cup draws, isn't there, and FA competition draws. I'm not going to go through all of them. They're all on the website. They're on the 90 Minutes website. Okay, it did take a while, as you'll see on the 90 Minutes website, to compile all this stuff. But we've had the draw for the FA Cup. We've had the draw for the FA Trophy. We've had the draw for the FA Youth Cup. And I guess thing stands out. I mean, the FA Cup extra preliminary round, Tuesday the 1st of September. We'll go through these four. Baldock Town against St Margaret's-Bury, Hoddesdon against FC Clacton, Sawbridgeworth against Romford, and Southend Manor against Ware. So touch of the seaside there for Hoddesdon and Ware. And, interesting ties. Baldock Town against St Margaret's-Bury, bit tough to call. Hoddesdon against FC Clacton, probably the same. Sawbridgeworth against Romford. There's some interesting ties in those three, although you would expect that Ware would be too strong for Southend Manor of the Essex Senior League.
Yeah, you would think so, wouldn't you? I mean, just going back to that Hoddesdon game, that's actually being played at Ware as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's going to be at Watson Park, so that will be, interesting matches. I mean, if they get through those, then the FA Cup preliminary round, Saturday, 12th of September, and Paul and the boys, well, if they had a bucket and spade for Southend Manor, they might as well keep it because hopefully they'll win, but they'll be on their way to Canvey Island to use it. So it's a little bit of strange draw that's kept them in that part of Essex. But the pick of the bunch for me is Hertford home to Malden and Tiptree.
Yeah, that's going to be a great game. And, Hertford did have a friendly lined up against Malden and Tiptree for next Friday. And, they've obviously, cancelled that. And, that's going to be a tough draw for them because, look how far Malden and Tiptree got last year.
Yeah, and what they did in their division, weren't they? They were absolutely flying. So, but I suppose all you can ask for from an FA Cup draw is home, isn't it? Home advantage. There's no replay, so they don't have to go to Malden and Tiptree, even if the game's a draw. I mean, it's got to be decided on the day and they've got home advantage. I guess that's all you can ask for.
That's it. I mean, it's going to be tough for these clubs, if they do get a draw, and getting that replay at home, that they can't get that extra income, which, we know all helps. And speaking of that and, that extra income and the FA Cup, can we go on to the prize money and stuff like that, Pete? Because they've reduced the prize money by half, haven't they?
Yeah.
And if I remember rightly, in the last show that we did, I spoke to you about entry fees for the FA Cup, right?
Yeah.
Now, those entry fees were £75. Does that mean the entry fee is now £37.50? I somehow doubt it.
Yeah, I somehow doubt that as well. I mean, you just work it out. I mean, they say that the official line is they've been reduced to 2017-18 levels as the result of the impact of the coronavirus pandemic. But if you just a little bit of maths tells you that last season, Ware got to the third qualifying round before they were beaten by Bosbar Town. They earned £17,890 in terms of the prize money fund. Now, if Ware were, we hope they do, we hope they go further, but if they were to get to the third qualifying round this season, they would only receive £8,944, which is a 49.9% reduction. So in effect, cut in half.
Yeah, it's absolutely wrong. And like you will hear Paul say in a little bit, these big clubs, these Premier League clubs, if they get to the semi-final or the final, they get £1.5 million prize money or something like that. They don't need that. Share it amongst these lower league clubs that really have financially suffered throughout this, this last 6 months with this pandemic. It's, do the FA really want those clubs to survive? Things like this really make me wonder.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder the replay thing, really, because, okay, gates aren't that massive when you're in the extra preliminary round of the competition, but, someone gets to the first round proper and they draw Sunderland, for example, and suddenly they're drawing against Sunderland at home and they're thinking, off we go with the replay. Well, they're not going to get it and they're not going to get the money. And I'm sure all hell's going to break loose if that kind of thing happens, because that's just robbing the non-league purse, isn't it? And the non-league clubs are going to, are affected in so many different ways by coronavirus and everything that's happened. We've seen, one club up north go under. We've seen others in real struggling to survive. And I'm not saying that, at the higher level clubs aren't finding it difficult, but, when you cut off two of those real lifelines, which are the prize money that you get and also the possibility of getting a big crowd in a replay, then, that's just not good management by the FA in terms of non-league football.
No, that's it. And if you remember rightly, it was probably about a year ago, we mentioned about, the costs for these clubs where the host club has to pay part for the away teams' travel, out of the gate receipts, and they have to pay the referees' fees, etc., etc. Some of these clubs could well end up out of pocket for hosting an FA Cup game.
Yeah, you can see it happening. Without a doubt. And I suppose the other thing that will come into play is if you were a non-league team, and it was the first round of the FA Cup, and still the requirements on social distancing and fans coming in, you may be down to 30% of your capacity as well. So, you're going to have that hit as well because, you're not going to get a ground full. So, it's, I don't know, it does make you wonder in terms of the FA and their thoughts on grassroots football. Just to round off, the FA Cup preliminary round, Saturday, 12th September. If Hoddesdon beat Clacton, they'll play Holbridge or Hadley, Sawbridgeworth or Romford against Baldock Town or St Margaret's-Bury. So a possible Sawbridgeworth against St Margaret's-Bury. And Wellington City got a home tie against Saffron Walden Town or Little Oakley. Saw Saffron Walden Town last season, one of the front runners in the Essex Senior League. So they're, having beaten Walthamstow on Saturday, that's probably a good warm-up for the kind of thing they'll face against Saffron Walden if they get through. Yeah,
it is, absolutely. It's good test as well, and it gives people a little bit of hindsight as to what might happen.
The FA Trophy, has not been kind to our teams at all in the second qualifying round, set for 17th of October, because we're away to Burgess Hill, Hertford away to Faversham, and Wellington City away to Hayward's Heath. So everybody on their travels there.
Yeah, that's it. More away games for our sides, and hopefully see how they get on, and hopefully progress to the next round.
And just to mention the FA Vars, we'll stop there then. First qualifying round, Saturday, September the 19th. Hoddesdon home to Langford. They should fancy that one. St Margaret's-Bury against London Coney. That'll be interesting. And Sporting Bengal United against Sawbridgeworth Town.
Yeah, more interesting ties. That's like you say, that's not until mid-October. So teams have got a little bit of time to prepare for that and do a bit of scouting or whatever.
And talking of times for teams to prepare, just wanted to mention the thing that the Isthmian League put on their website about the restart scenarios, which basically had up to 5 scenarios of when the season would actually start. Scenario 1 being steps 3 and 4, season starts on the 19th of September and finishes on the 8th of May with playoffs the following week. If it's not possible to start on the 19th of September, then it's going to be put back to the 3rd of October because of those FA Trophy ties we were talking about. If that isn't possible, it's going to start on the 10th of October. And if that isn't possible, it's going to go back to the 17th of October. But the interesting one, I don't know whether they've changed this, but scenario 5, which means if none of that is possible, says it's subject to FA regulatory approval and require changes to the National League system regulations and rules, which also require FA Council approval. So if it does get down to there, it's absolutely anybody's guess when the season's actually going to start.
Yeah, hopefully it won't get down, that far to that, that level 5. But all we can do is sit and wait and see what they say, and hopefully things will get started sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I don't, and it is so difficult. We'll talk to Paul about it in a minute, of just getting your team at the right peak so you hit that first league game exactly where you want, because at the moment you don't know when that first league game's going to be.
No, of course. A couple of things I want to mention, Pete. I do want to go back onto the FA, I'm afraid.
Oh.
And they've said, right, that fines have been put up from £12 to £10 for a yellow card for steps 5 to 7. Okay. And from what I understand, I think a red is £35, which includes a £15 admin fee. Now, that £12 fine is actually classified as an admin fee. But when I spoke to Ben, and this was after the interview I'd done for him, what do you think the fine for a yellow card is for, like, you know, a player in the Premier League or the Championship, you know, League One, League Two, something like that?
Please don't tell me it's the same.
It's £10. Oh. It's not the same. It's 10. How? How does that? I don't. Again, you know, something I don't understand. A couple of other things. I know from when you went to the game for Welling Garden City against Royston, Dylan Bengo got injured, didn't he? And he's ruptured his Achilles. So I want to wish Dylan all the very best. And staying on Welling Garden City, it looks like Alex Harris has left for his American scholarship, Pete.
Good luck, Alex.
Yeah, we wish Alex the very best of luck, and I'm sure he's going to still be tuning in from all the way in the USA. So, best of luck, mate, and keep us updated with how you're doing.
Yeah, you can start the 90 Minutes American Fan Club. There you go, Alex.
That's it, yeah. We're going to get some listeners over there. Should we move on to some other sports, Pete?
Actually, yeah, the other thing I wanted to say, while we're doing congratulations, I want to congratulate Kit Brown, of course, who passed his teaching certificate. So he's become a teacher. So well done, Kit, Hertford's Kit Brown. So that's excellent. Just another couple of bits of football news. I just want to say welcome back to Standon and Puckeridge FC, who've reformed and going to play in the Art Senior County League Division 1. They were Premier Division champions a few years ago. They disbanded, so really good to see another good county-level non-league team back in action.
That's it. And one other thing, actually, from the football, Ray Bartlett, he's now the sole manager of St Margaret's, and James Falace and Lucia Abat are his assistants, and Tony Wilde, he's moved to the head of youth over there.
Good stuff. Okay, shall we talk a little bit of hockey? Why not? Hopefully the girls are listening. Hertford Ladies, of course, we didn't get a chance to mention they were promoted to Eastern Region Division 2 Southwest. So first, congratulations for the promotion. Provisional fixtures start on the 19th of September with the Hertford at home to Waltham Forest. So that's going to be an interesting test, upper level. The men are still in Division 2 South. Provisional start from them on the same day, and they're at home to West Herts 2 and Wellington City in Division 3 Southwest start on the 19th of September at home to West Herts 3. So interesting season in prospect for the hockey girls.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. You know, it's obviously, you know, getting that promotion is going to be a big test for them. But, you know, we wish them the very best of luck and, you know, continue that great progress that you made last season and continue to let us know about your donuts, girls.
They invented the donut. I mean, they invented our donut. If you're wondering about rugby, well, Eastern Counties Rugby Union have released provisional fixtures, but there's no firm start date. They're currently at Phase C of the return process. Phase F is where they've got to get to allow competitive rugby to start again. The provisional fixtures would see Hertford entertain North Walshingham in their opening match in London South East Premier, while Welling would visit Stevenage Town in London 3 Northwest. But I guess your big problem with rugby is the scrum, I guess, and you know, you can't have a 2 metre apart socially distanced line out either, can you? So you got real problems, I think, in getting that underway. Yeah,
I mean, this is what we were discussing on Saturday, Pete, isn't it? You know, that main problem, you know, is obviously, you know, we know all these other sports you can't socially distance anyway, but we know how close contact a scrum is, so that makes it that little bit more difficult, I guess.
Yeah, it'll be tricky stuff. I mean, basketball is supposed to be back in September, but they're still left also in we don't quite know when the season's going to start, but we can tell you when it does start. Instead of Essex Hearts Leopards, after 25 seasons, the Big Cats will have a new name and a new permanent base, with the club becoming Oakland College Wolves and playing all their home games at the St Albans College. So that will be alongside, of course, the WBL side, the Oakland Wolves for the ladies, who haven't got any fixtures, but name change. And I think they really are setting up an academy of basketball there, bringing the two teams together. And I think that's a real good opportunity for basketball in Hertfordshire.
Yeah, I think it's a promising move, Pete, to be honest. It's a bold move, but I think it's a positive move as well.
Yeah, it's a big one for 25 seasons, change your name. And, there is still obviously a link with the Essex Hearts Leopards and what happened, and the Ware Rebels and Watson Park and all of that. So, it's good to see that, good quality basketball still survives in Hertfordshire because, I think it's got a real home. And I think we look forward. I mean, towards the end of last season, I mean, they were really struggling, weren't they? And then suddenly picked up a couple of big wins, and hopefully when it does get started they can continue that momentum. And I'll tell you what, talking about momentum, after 169 days, it did half go quick in the first half, didn't it? Because it's time for the half-time whistle.
Right, welcome back after that break. And Paul, thanks for joining us. We've seen you a couple of times this, last week and that. But I don't want to go over, the disappointment of everything stopping and all that. But, Mrs. Murray, she's been there with you. Was she glad to have you about a bit more, or did she do?
You have to ask her that one because, it's been a tough time for everyone, isn't it? I mean, quite lucky, I suppose I've worked through the whole of it. She's had to work from home with the kids being here, getting a puppy and that. But, so I think she was. I think the break done me a world of good, to be fair, not having that Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays, but sort of itching really for the real stuff to start, really, rather than the pre-season. But she'll probably say no, but she probably did.
And I know there's been quite a bit of work going on down the ground, haven't you? Liquor paint here and that, and a lot of the supporters coming in and helping you as well, haven't you?
Yes, we've had from the early days, for when it sort of was on lockdown, where we could, and people have been coming in painting the gates, lads are changing light fittings, hosing down the showers, cleaning the from obviously the pigeons and that, the mess. So, and obviously you can see he's done the bar, we're just waiting for the floor to go in, painted the hall sort of area. So, it's been a lot of work going on, not quite finished yet, really, but that's the problem when you start something like that and then you get back to work. It's hard to get it all completed in time. But the chairman's obviously done the inside all himself, and all the fans helped. So we've all pulled together really. So it's been a good workload by everyone really.
That's it. And you're speaking about the chairman. I mean, we spoke before about how committed he is to the club, but I mean, the club suffered. There's been no games and crowds, and also the fact that the facilities are used throughout the week by other clubs for training, etc. So how much of an effect does that had on the club?
Well, it's massive, isn't it? It's for all clubs, really, every single one. More so probably with us, probably because they've got the 4G, and then obviously the kids have suffered. You can't rent out the hall. I know they've had to cancel cut-ins, and but it's a knock-on effect, really. You're not getting no money in. It is hard, really, all the beer, the brewery took it back, bought it back, they out there. So, and also he's been doing work as well. So, inside the club. So it's massive for the club to not have no money, and also, the pitch hire that they rent out to, to the other team at the time would put down. They're starting to use it, their pitch now, even though they're not going to be there this season. So we owed them a few games, so they're taking them up now, really. But yeah, it's a knock-on effect for everybody. It's financially, it's going to ruin some clubs. I worry now that my biggest worry now is it going to be a stop-start season, and how many clubs will actually suffer for it. Already in non-league, one of the normal teams of non-league. I can't remember their name now, but I was reading an article. They've gone into pull the plug because they can't afford it. A lot of people rely not just on fans coming through the gate, but it's the bar money from the private club, the private dues. The weddings and parties and that. So it is a massive knock-on effect, really.
Yeah, you say about Brimsdown, you've got a new ground share for this season as well, haven't you?
Isn't it Bushhill?
Bushhill Rangers, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't take up there. I think, I don't know, it was too much, but I think they was looking to get a club somewhere else. It didn't happen. So obviously the chairman had to get someone else in. I think he obviously actually knows the manager of the Bush Park, so they're friends. So it was a no-brainer. They've come in and they've got great facilities. So, yeah, so they've got that. That's great. And obviously we've got, we've got the under-23s now, and again, and the under-18s and all the way down to the 8s, really.
Yeah. And you told us early last season, when you came in with us, about your aims from promotion, which was on course for. But how well you did last season, and having retained most of the squad, which we'll chat about in a bit, does that be more confidence going into this new season?
We should be in it with full of confidence, really, because we finished high and we just got to start. It's just, I just hope it doesn't affect the boys. It has affected a few people around the club. It did affect me. You start to question whether you can do it all again. Obviously, you've got to and you can. But, what I get back from the boys is that it's up to business. So, that's good. So, obviously, there'll probably be one or two new players in that squad. So, we've got to, what we have got to do is start a lot stronger than we did last season. We had a couple of his, draws, first game of the season, and I don't think we started as well as we could have done. We could have probably put ourselves in a better position. Not that it really matters now, but to put ourselves in a little bit of better position at the end of that season where, we were 6 points clear. Hanwell, we had on the Saturday, if we'd have beaten them. But could have been out of sight. Well, there was times where we could have probably been out of sight, really. We probably should have been, but we didn't. And we go again, really. And, it's going to be harder this season because I would imagine they'll probably make us favourites, but I'll make favourites because of the money that's being thrown around there. So, but the expectations are going to be on us. It's going to be big expectations, you know what I mean? Because everyone's probably thinking we're the team and everyone's going to go out and beat us, or try and beat us, sorry. So, yeah, I think it's going to be tougher this year for us.
I mean, going on from that team you had last season, a couple of, say, absentees. Maxim, obviously, he was only on loan. He's not coming back. And Josh Williams, he's left as well, has he?
Yeah, they're both left to go to their higher clubs. Maxon, I was just having a look at their Twitter, Braintree. Maxon's gone to Braintree. So I don't know. I spoke to to speak to the manager. I know George. So I don't know how Maxon's doing, to be fair. So he went there, and obviously, as you see yesterday, Josh is at Royston. So listen, I wish them both the best. I mean, Josh, he's a talented player, and I do believe he will go far. He's just got to, up his game a little bit on the defensive side, but going forward, he's magic, and young Maxon, I thought I got him as a young kid who was released by Stevenage, and I think that he done extremely well. But at the same time, I brought 2 right backs in, and were very capable of holding that position down. At the moment, it's neck and neck who I'm going to go with covering the first game. So we'll have to wait and see that. And for Josh, we brought in Marcus Milner, who was out of the club when I first came, but he decided to move on in the post-season. So, yeah, listen, hopefully they're both boys will do very well. I've got high aspirations for Josh. I do believe he'll make it. I don't know, I've just got a sneaky feeling. Not many players will say that, but I do think Josh has got that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we'll keep an eye on how Josh does, won't we, Pete?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, with what he produced last season, I mean, in terms of squad size, Paul, I mean, what's your optimum size of squad you like to work with?
Last year, I always had about 20, but I would think that I'm looking at 18, really. I think that's all I can work, really. So probably 18. I haven't got that luxury now with the 23s, unless I've got some injuries. Put the boys in the 23s because the 23s are now our under 17s from last year. So, you see yesterday, young Reece on the wing. He's someone that I'm probably going to try and bring in a bit more and more to the first team. I think he's got the ability. We just need to coach him into adult now. I know he's played it last season a little bit at the next level up, so he should be nearly enough about ready, really. So probably about 18, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Let's talk about pre-season. You've had a couple of games already, and then Saturday you had a 3-team tournament. And coming up this Saturday, you've got AFC Dunstable at home, and then in the FA Cup you're away to Stone Manor. Are you trying to get that game switched to the Bank Holiday Monday? Yeah, we can't. Their rules state that they can only play. They had to designate one night they play with Basildon Council or whoever, what council it is. I think it's Basildon, and we had to play them on a Tuesday. I just thought, ideally, if it was me, I would be looking at home because on a bank holiday Monday because of the traffic. It don't bother me if I go down on a Tuesday or not, but on a Monday you think you get, I don't know what their capacity is going to be, but ideally you want as many fans as you're allowed to have at the game, wouldn't you? And a bank holiday might draw a couple of fans in, but also you don't know what their capacity is and how many's allowed. We're allowed up to 400, I think, coming up this weekend. So was at home, I would like to have had it on a Monday purely because it's a chance of getting fans in, isn't it? And recouping a little bit of money that we've lost. But listen, we'll be going down there on a Tuesday night and we'll be prepared for that. That's it. And then you get through that. You've got another away game to Canvey Island, haven't you? Yeah,
I do believe that I've upset the FA because obviously with what happened and that and my comments maybe on certain shows, maybe they've got it in for me because the South End one week, and if we do win, we're in bloody Canvey Island the next. So, there you go. At least that's on the say, but that's a tough one. If you win, if we do get that far, Canvey Island, they've done some good players. So, that'll be a tough one, especially at their ground, and I think there's no replay, isn't it? So it has to be ended on the day.
That's it, yeah. There's no replays, for the whole of it. And, then you've got a couple more friendlies lined up. You're away to Haybridge Swifts, and then your last one is at home to Hendon, isn't it?
we got ahead that Tuesday, so yeah, before the FA Cup. So that would be we've got so that'd be a test just before the FA Cup. So hopefully we're all injury free by the end of that night.
Yeah. And then obviously, it's a case of to hear about when the league gets started. Have you had any inclination about what will happen?
Obviously, the 19th of September is the date we're going to start. Fixtures haven't been done yet, so I don't know, mate. I really don't know whether, I always believed that we wouldn't start till the beginning of October. Mm-hmm. That's what I always thought. But then I was surprised that we was going to play in September. Who knows? No one knows. You just can't call it.
No, I don't.
So the later the fixture lists are coming out, it's the later whether there's a chance that it'll be put back. Conference has been back to the 3rd of October, and that's what I thought we'd play really. So my understanding is that all the pro clubs have to be done, then the conference, and then it gets down to us. So when that's done, I don't know.
No.
One thing I've asked for, but I'm hoping my secretary's done it. I've asked the league to play the Hertford and Ware games should be bank holidays.
Yeah. I mean, I have heard a little rumour that fixtures might be up this Friday. Do you know anything about that?
Never heard, but I do follow Ollie. Ollie's pretty good on Twitter. I speak to him now and again, but I've not spoken to him about fixtures coming out at all, to be honest.
Yeah,
I don't. I really. What they released a statement. I imagine you saw it. The Isthmian League is stating that as soon as the leagues are being done, will be done.
Yeah. I mean,
but if it is to start on the 19th of September, they've got to be doing it sooner, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, going on from there, FA Trophy draw, that's been run as well. That's not until mid-October. Another away tie, Pete, Paul, for you.
Yeah, another away tie. So I think in these times, I think it doesn't really matter, really. I think that there's a lot of pressure put on the clubs for all this COVID-19, having a representative, doing the temperatures. I think sometimes it's easier to go to a club, get your temperature done, play the game and come home, and ain't got about that. But will that affect our game? I don't know. Burgess Hill. I think at the moment, while the Premiership go to football, fans can't go to football. This would be a great time for fans to come to non-league. So, and we don't know when our first home game to be, do we? So,
no, that's it.
I can't even say we draw. We've got a replay to bring them back, but we ain't. No. So at the moment, until the fixtures, our fans have got to wait and just make do with friendlies.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, if the league gets started before fans for Premier League, Championship, etc., before they can go in, like you say, it's an ideal opportunity for you to draw fans to you and come down and watch you, isn't it?
Well, I think you will really, because I've got a season ticket at Arsenal, and I've not even heard nothing with regards to the season ticket. I've not heard nothing in regards to a rebate. I've not heard nothing in regards to renewing. And normally on it, they normally bang on it. Now, I spoke to my mate who's a Tottenham fan, and he's saying that they've asked for all their money up front, and you don't even know whether fans are going to go in there. I don't know how they've done that, but I reckon I'm just waiting. All them pro clubs must just be waiting, thinking, well, hold on a minute, whenever are you going to allow 50,000 in the teams again?
Yeah.
So it might be part of luck that you're season ticket, you go and watch the games, but so I just think that will knock on effect, and that will help non-league clubs.
Yeah, I mean, let's go back to the friendlies that you have had this last couple of weeks. You've had some new faces there. Any of them going to be joining the squad?
No comment at the moment. I'll be well. Tell a lie. Marcus signed on Thursday, so Marcus signed. I've had talks with the other lads, as in George Casey signed. Sorry, the right back. Finley, I want to sign because I think he's a good option because I can right back. And like I did on the first friendly, I played George Casey right. With Finley, I would love him to sign, but we're just in talks at the moment. You didn't see the Jordan, the best of Jordan yesterday, but the last couple of games he's been done extremely well, and also as Danny. But like I said to him yesterday, I wasn't happy with him. So not them particular players. I'm talking as a squad, and we've got a lot to work on and improve forward. So we're not quite where I want to be at the moment, which is the disappointment for me. But hopefully Saturday we can, put in a good. The problem is I've only had 2 games. I know we've had 3. We had 2 yesterday, 2 for. We've only had 3 90 minutes, and in them 3 90 minutes, I've used all the squad that I've got available, so 20 players. And as you go on, it has a knock-on effect. So I've only got 1 game really to try and play everyone before we go back into friendlies. And this Saturday, I've got to make sure certain players get 90 minutes really. But the players that I've brought in have impressed. I think Ben Hart came back. I think you noticed Ben come back, but he's got a lot more to do before he's going to be settled into the team. So, and I think he knows that really. Other than that, so Reece, like I said, young Reece will be part of the squad. So, but I have got to cut it, and I've also got to. I'm still looking to bring in a couple of more.
Yeah, we say about this game against Dunstable on Saturday, and you want to give some players 90 minutes, but then you've got to keep in mind you've got that game on Tuesday against Southend Manor. So how do you go about managing that?
Basically, probably the squad for that game on Saturday will probably be the squad forward for Saturday for the Tuesday. So that's how I manage that. But there'll be plenty of other opportunity for. I can take 7 subs, but whether I want to take 7 subs all the way to the other side of Southend a Tuesday night where the facilities ain't the best, what I've been told. So I've just got to manage it. We haven't got Liam available. That's why I really wanted a friendly Tuesday night, and it didn't happen really. So we're going to be training now. So Liam's got a little mini break in England, which is good. So for him, so basically the rest of them I'll manage it like that. Really, everyone will get minutes, and a lot of them will get 90 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Pete, was there anything that you wanted to come in on this?
I was just wondering, really, how sort of COVID-19 world that we're in now has kind of affected things in terms of training and whatever. I know you said, Paul, it'd be nice someone took your temperature, you went out there, played a game, and then you went home again. But is it that simple, or is it how it's affected the lads, even though it's affected you?
It doesn't really affect me as much as probably the lads who probably have a shower after the game. There's a little bit of, we're allowed to use showers now, but you're restricted how many you can have in. We used, I was quite lucky yesterday, so I had teams, as you know, so we only had 1 team in there and it waited outside. Royston was in the other one and session changed in the bar. So I think the Halsey game, it was really allowed to use the showers. So, but now you can. So, but that was the biggest problem for players. Especially when we had no rain, but during the games. But a hot day, they have a shower, don't they? They're trained, they want to have a shower, but they're restricted to have it because of this reason. So for me, it's not really affected me, but it's a lot of work on the club owners, getting everything done, make sure everything's in place, temperatures, making sure the changing rooms, you ain't got too many people in there, etc. Making sure that no one swaps shirts or socks, or in training, they have to use the same bib. They have to bring their own water. On training nights, they just come in and that's it. They're straight on the pitch. And then they're finished. If they want to have a drink, they can, but they go home mainly, so they normally shoot you straight off. So whereas before you go in the changing room, you might do a debrief. I do all that on the pitch. Yesterday we done a little bit of talking, and then everything was done on the pitch after that. But going forward, maybe next Tuesday, where we won't go back into the changing room at half time, maybe I'll board and we'll just sit on the pitch and we'll go and talk there. Which ain't a problem, is it? Well, we should do that Monday morning.
Yeah, it's kind of retro back to the old days. But I guess the one big problem is obviously you want to get the team at the perfect stage for beginning the league season, and you just don't know when that's going to be. So it could be an endless trail of friendlies.
Sorry,
it could be an endless trail of friendlies, couldn't it? Until you get that date.
Well, that's it. I mean, conference teams, I see like Chelmsford, they took mini break. Well, took a mini break, so they're not playing any friendlies now until another date because they don't start till October. So, for us, the FA Cup has to go ahead, as in far as it can, and Southend gets shut down or something like that. But that has to be done. I think the league, they put six steps in place, whereas it does get put back and put back and put back. So that's all been done to be put in place. So if it keeps going, if they see October the 3rd, if they say, right, we're not going to get to the October the 3rd, then you've got FA Cup on Tuesday, Saturday, and no more games. October, and then you've got 2 friendlies. So what do you do? Start arranging friendlies, or what do you do? Because the boys have been in now already for 5 weeks, 6 weeks. So if it keep delaying it, what do you do with a team? Something we'll have to look into. They do. We'll cross that bridge when if it happens.
Yeah, because I think looking at the scenarios, the latest they're talking about is 17th of October, so it could even kind of stretch that even further, couldn't it? I mean, to end on, not that I'm ever controversial, but to end on a controversial note, talking about the FA Cup, what are your thoughts of how the prize money's been slashed? Because basically it's been a 50% cut.
My disappointing in them and them letting what happened to our league and every other league, those points per game. So I don't know. They say they've lost £300 million. I'd imagine they're like anyone else, though. They're having a bottomless pocket, if you know what I mean. So it's tough. It's tough. But what I would have said, personally, do them teams in the semi-finals, do them in the final need that winning money? Do they? No, they don't.
Well, thanks to Paul for that chat. Absolutely great to catch up with him. Obviously, we've seen him this past week or so, but, thanks very much to Paul for that chat. And Pete, you feeling peckish?
Definitely. I haven't had one for such a long time.
This is East Hearts Radio, 90 minutes, Donut of the Week.
Right, Pete, my first nomination, this did come from a couple of weeks ago, okay? But this is for Eddie Hearn, and this is at the weigh-in for a fight, which was live on Sky Sports News at his Matchroom headquarters, where they've been hosting their boxing for the last few weeks. He didn't actually realise it was live, and he said something really daft, and he actually swore live on Sky Sports News. And this video, it went viral. If you saw it, you know it. And for that reason, Eddie Hearn, you're a donut.
Sounds a donut. Don't want him to describe it because he might get us off the air. So, okay, from Eddie Hearn, we are going to German artist Gerrit Starzweski. Okay, because he was responsible for 2 football teams in the town of Urskenwick in North Rhine, playing a game last week completely naked as part of a protest against money in football. The game was organised at the Stimburg Stadium on the northern edge of Germany's industrial Ruhr area. The football system is sick. That's why we all get naked, said the 34-year-old artist. Everybody wants to have authenticity, but I think you're only particularly authentic if you do without all the other stuff. Really, everything from the advertising banners to the clothing. The players only wore football shoes and socks with the sock colours separated by team in order to differentiate who played for whom. It makes Lincoln City's shorts thing sound positively wonderful, doesn't it? And the players' numbers were hand-painted on their backs. And all I can say about that is I'm glad I didn't commentate and come up with some inappropriate line about a dodgy tackle, okay? So I think he deserves a donut.
I was just going to ask you, Pete, about commentating on something like that. Yeah, that's. I don't think I'd even want to, go and see the game, let alone commentate on it.
There's pictures on the internet, and I'd say it takes you a while to get them out of your mind, I can tell you.
I'm not going to search for them, Pete. I'm definitely not. My next nomination goes to Paul Ince. And, last week, Manchester City announced that they was to have a statue of David Silva outside the Etihad. And Paul Ince wasn't too keen on this. And he said, take your Thierry Henrys or Dennis Bergkamps. I don't see a statue of them outside Arsenal Stadium. Pete, do you know anything about this? Thierry Henry and Dennis Bergkamp statues outside the Emirates? I think they have.
Yeah, never heard of them. But yeah. Maybe Paul Ince he's only entered through the tradesman's entrance around the back, and he's never actually gone round and seen them. I don't know.
That's it. But I mean, think of all the people he could have mentioned, and the 2 people he's mentioned, there are statues of them outside the Emirates.
I don't know whether he wants a donut or he should have gone to Specsavers Award. I think we should put them both together,
No, that's my lot for this week.
Okay. I was wondering, actually, if we try something, because normally when we were pre-COVID, we had the guests choosing our donut. And I wonder if our listeners want to choose the donut, if we put a little poll on Twitter and see how it works. So if we want to go for Eddie Hearn and his mouth, the nude German footballers, or a partially sighted Paul Ince in receipt of the donut. Maybe we'll put a little Twitter poll up on the 90 Minutes Twitter and see what you fancy as far as our donut of the week.
Sounds a plan to me.
Okay, shall we move on to some ladies' football?
Yeah, let's do so. So, women's news, there was the FA Cup draw. And in the extra preliminary round, which starts on the 6th of September, Hartham United ladies, they're away to St Ives Town ladies. And the winners of that tie will be away to Histon ladies. Hearts Vipers, their debut in the FA Cup, sees them visiting Colney Heath ladies. And the winners of that tie will play Runwell Sports ladies or Harlow Town ladies. So that could be an interesting local tie for us. Rayleigh Town ladies, they're going to host Hoddesdon Town Owls with the winners at home to Luton Town ladies. I'll tell you something about Hoddesdon Town Owls in a minute. In the preliminary round, that sees Wadson Park ladies enter there, and they will take on Watford ladies Development. Hertford United ladies, they actually have a new manager, Ian Pryor, and he's made several new signings and really excited about the promise and the progress that the squad have been making. Hearts Vipers, we went to see them last season before, Pete, but they've actually moved to the Crantley ground in Letchworth Garden City, which, I mean, we know when we went to see them before at Bulldog, that pitch didn't look great, that 3G pitch, did it?
No, I think it was one of those 3Gs that had been put in some time ago and needed a bit of TLC, didn't it? But, Can Ground at Letchworth, great venue.
Yeah. Got some new teams as well. Bury Rangers women, they're going to be entering in the Beds and Hearts Women's Football League Division 3, as well as a new Hearts Vipers development team. And the Hearts Vipers first team, they've moved to the Prem of the Beds and Hearts Women's Football League. So Beds and Hearts, they've now got 4 divisions. Our other teams, I'm waiting to get absolute confirmation of what divisions they're going to be in. Hopefully that's going to be released in the next week or so. In Eastern Region Women's Football League, the opening fixtures have been released. The first fixture sees Hoddesdon Town Owls host Watson Park Ladies. But, and this is going back to what I just said about, with that FA Cup, I've heard a little rumour that Hoddesdon Town Owls might have folded. So, that's like I say, that's along the grapevine, but wait and see what that brings on, because they've been included in the FA Cup draw as well. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, Pete.
Yeah, it'd be a real shame, wouldn't it? We don't want to lose a club, and also a club that, they struggled a bit last season, but the season before had a really strong season. So, it all seems a bit strange.
Yeah. And, like I say, wait to see any confirmation and, go from there, I suppose. Friendlies that have taken place this week, Hearts Vipers on last Tuesday, they hosted Luton Town Ladies. Luton Town ended up 3-2 winners, but they were absolutely delighted with the performance that the girls played. And on yesterday, AFC Dunstable against Hearts Vipers. Again, another strong performance from Hearts Vipers. I don't actually know the score there. And their development squad, they visited Royston Town Women Development as well. Harton United Ladies, they played Bury Rangers Women, the new side there, and they came out 5-0 winners. Dan Aiken, Steph Cowell, Becca Brooker and Becky with the goals. Dan Aiken actually got 2 goals there. At Watson Park, they played Hitchin Bells. Again, I'm not sure of that result there. All these teams, they don't actually always announce their results. And 2 of our local sides, they played each other. Sherwood's Wood Ladies, they beat Watton Ladies 2-1.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting season, particularly for Hearts Vipers, who, they were head and shoulders above, weren't they, in the division they were last season. So to actually get up there and, get some competitive football has got to be great for everybody, because, with the greatest respect to the teams they were playing, they were really scoring hatfuls of goals, and you're not really going to learn that much, are you? You're probably going to learn more in training, whereas, they're going to learn a lot this season now they've gone up to that level.
That's it. I mean, the thing, I know John's feeling really confident, but the thing that, if I say concerns me, is that last season they didn't really have a test, apart from in a couple of cup games. Now they're going to be tested every single week.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit like we were saying about you don't know your goalkeeper until you give him a test. Well, it's the same as a team, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, bit of Speedway news. Well, bit of sad Speedway news, really, because despite hopes being raised, it looks as if Speedway will not be returning to Raya House after current stadium owner Ricky Musk ruled out a return for the sport that was first staged at the Hoddesdon venue in the 1930s. Talking to Speedway Star magazine, Musk said, "I don't want to say we're not having Speedway and then suddenly start doing it. It's not 100% that we won't run, but it's not the route I want to take." Team BMR Flat Track, who continue to run practice sessions at the venue until lockdown, stated on their Facebook page, "It's with regret that we can confirm that all motorcycle events at Raya House Stadium will not resume due to restrictions that we found ourselves up against earlier in the year. These restrictions prevented us from continuing with some of the Speedway events that we were in the midst of hosting and indeed were planning to host in the future, which in turn forced us to review our future at Raya House. We've explored every avenue to continue events at Raya House Stadium with the support of Raya House Group management. However, we're sad to announce that motorcycle events at the stadium have come to an end." They then added, "We have had many discussions over the past few weeks, and we can announce that we are now in the build phase of a new venue for motorcycle events. We're not in a position to give further details at this time, but Mark and the team are pushing hard to open as quickly as practically possible, and we'll keep all you updated on the BMR Flat Track Facebook page. So sad news that going to be no more Speedway at Rye House. But I do love this quote. I mean, if you're going to make a quote, then just tell it like it is. Instead of saying, I don't want to say we're not going to be having Speedway, and then at the end of the quote say, but it's not the route I want to take. I mean, surely that means you don't want to have Speedway.
It certainly sounds like that, doesn't it? And yeah, it is really disappointing because I mean we know what it meant to to Holliston, and I know what it means to you as well, Pete. I know you love your Speedway, but I mean they used to get some good crowds down there, and it's a big loss to Holliston, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's a big loss to Hertfordshire because it was one of the truly national local sports clubs because, in the day they were racing up Glasgow and Edinburgh at one end of the country and Exeter at the other end. So, it was truly a national sport and also National League champions twice in their time as well. So, really sad. Who knows what's going to happen there. My understanding is that still, and this is the interesting bit for me, is that the lease from the Lee Valley Authority says that the stadium can only be used for motorsport use, but maybe something's changed on that. I don't know. We'll kind of have to wait and see. But from Speedway to netball, this was an interesting story that appeared very recently. Saracens Mavericks has launched a crowdfunding campaign to help save their club. They're aiming to raise $50,000 to secure the future of the franchise, with no income generation from ticket sales, camps, masterclasses or merchandise, many other revenue streams for this season. They now face huge challenges along with other professional sports clubs. Currently on their GoFundMe page, they have £11,338 of that $50,000 when I looked at it this morning. But it's sad, isn't it, that with everything that Sky Sports have pumped into netball and everything else, we've got one of the premier clubs in the country trying to survive on a GoFundMe page.
It's sad to see. We know that clubs from all sports are suffering in this time, but no one likes to see it for anyone. Especially your local clubs, do they?
No, and it does make you wonder. I don't know, conspiracy theories or whatever, but obviously Saracens and all the problems they had with salary caps in rugby union, and they are part of the same franchise, obviously the name Saracens Mavericks, whether actually that's had a knock-on effect in terms of the budget anyway for the netball franchise before all this stuff with COVID hit. Fixtures to come. Well, they're all friendlies. Until the FA Cup gets underway on the 1st of September. But tomorrow, Tuesday, Baldock Town against Welwyn Garden City, and that's going to take part at the North Hearts Arena, which presumably is on that slightly dodgy 3G we were talking about.
Well, I wonder because John was saying when I spoke to him about it being relayed. So let's see what happens as to that and where it takes place.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Hoddesdon got friendly against Harpenden with a 6:45 kickoff being played at Albury Ride in Cheshunt. And Sawbridgeworth, who seem to have a good collection of friendlies going, they're away to White Ensign. They've got another game on Thursday at home to Barking. And meanwhile, on Saturday, Bush Hill Rangers against Bishop Stortford Swifts, Oxley Jets against Hoddesdon, Sawbridgeworth in action again against White Notley, and the Sean Minot Memorial match, as we heard from Paul Halsey, 2:00 kickoff, Ware against AFC Dunstable. And if you can get on down there. Sean was a top guy. I worked with him on Heartbeat FM and knew him for a number of years, sadly taken way before his time. So if you get down to the Sean Minot Memorial match at Watson Park on Saturday, that would be great.
I mean, I'm sure, for that game on Saturday, Pete, that there will be a great crowd down there. A lot of the Ware fans, they'll know how much Sean meant to the club and how much Sean meant to them, and really, really hope to see a fantastic crowd down there on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just to round off, we got a minute. My favourite Sean story was I met him in a high street wear a few years ago when Play Something, the music shop, were wear sponsors, and he summed up for me the difference between non-league football and the Premier League elite, because Sean had a bundle of papers under his arm, and I said, "Hello, mate, what are you doing down here?" He said, "Oh, I've got to go in there." I said, "Well, you're learning the guitar?" He said, No, I've got to go and fax some player registrations to the FA because we can't afford a fax machine. So every time we register a player, I have to come down here and do it in the music shop."
Oh, excellent. There's some fixtures on Sunday in the women's fixtures. Hearts Vipers, they're travelling to Northampton Town Ladies. And the development squad, they've also got an away game against Biggleswade United Ladies. Hartlepool United Ladies, they've got an away game as well. They're visiting Coney Heath Ladies, and Coney Heath are playing Vipers in the FA Cup. So I'm sure John might send a scout down there to watch that one. Yeah,
certainly. All eyes on that. I'll tell you what, after 100 and whatever it is days, he's absolutely flown by because the referee's just about got the whistle in his mouth.
That's it. Well, I suppose we should say goodnight and say thanks to everyone for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Hope you like the new socially distanced, COVID-friendly 90 minutes, and we'll be back next week.
Cheers for joining us. Good night.
Thanks a lot. Cheers.